1940s, George Orwell published a novel that was the future at the time, 1984. It talked about the dystopian future. And this future, well, at least future at the time, talked about a warning for what happens in the future possibility. Now, we all know that this really isn't real since this is just fiction. But today we have been able to compare George Orwell's 1984 with even our own society. So, how will we talk about George Orwell today? We'll talk about him right now. Ba 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 dark 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 she Ian da da ba 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 bum. Hi guys, welcome to a new episode on the channel. Today we will be talking about George Orwell 1984. So let's get started. So what is George Orwell about, you might be asking? Well, in his book 1984, it talks about the dystopian future. Well, the future at the time. There is a lot we need to learn about this, but before you watch this video, I highly recommend watching some Cold War or World War II and World War I videos before you watch this one. And yeah, once you watch that, come back here. Alright, you're done? Good. Now, back to 1984. In 1984, there is a lot we learned about this. George Orwell was one of those people who went to the American-Spanish Civil War. He was told not to go there, but he went there. So let's put this into animation. So he went to the American Civil War, and he hated fascists, and he was determined to fight fascists. He was able to find some fascists and killed a few of them, but then later he had to flee his own country. He had to flee the American Civil Spanish War with all of his belongings and all that stuff. And he went away, and then later, he came down and wrote about his adventures and about his time and what might happen, another dystopian future, which probably is in the future, in Animal Farm, which I already read, by the way. And Animal Farm is pretty much a real classic where pigs are the leader and everybody buried meat. Wow. Yeah. And then later he wrote about his memoirs in his personal memoir of George Orwell. And this isn't George Orwell written by himself. This one's written by Trfyvel, but I can't get any other photos, so sorry. And since George Orwell was part of the BBC team, he had a lot to learn about. And then when he started writing, wait a minute. First, he wrote not 1984, but he wrote Animal Farm first, and then he started writing his memoirs. And then later, he wrote his 1940 classic, 1984. All of these were based on George Orwell's experience in his, American-Spanish Civil War time. And these were pretty inspirational because, well, he got really inspirational at these parts. And it really does get a little dreamy nowadays. And now, what was his real name, you might be asking? Well, his real name is not George Orwell. And his real name is Eric Arthur Blair. So his real name was Eric Arthur Blair. And he got his pen name while some kind of conference, and he got inspired to make George Orwell his pen name. later, once he started writing in 1984, there's a lot to do with this. So let's talk about this dystopian future first. I have a Lego for this. Whoa. Okay. So this is a Lego photo I found on the internet about 1984. 1984 is about this dystopian future where there's Great Britain, where there is the world map. First of all, I need to show you the world map. This is George Orwell's 1984 map. North America, South America, South Africa, Southern Africa, and Madagascar, and Australia, and Greenland, and Great Britain, all combined to form Oceania. Oceania. And then later, the rest of Europe, except Britain and Russia and parts of Asia itself, united to make Eurasia. And then China, Mongolia, South Korea, North Korea, and Japan, which this might be a Korean a Korean leader's dream, all unified. Well, when I meant this is a Korean leader's dream, is because North and South Korea, and North Korean leaders and South Korean leaders all dreamed of reunification, and this is a reunification. And let's get a bit of history first of all. First of all, in 1914, there's the First World War, and in 1918, the First World War ends. And then in the 1940s, during the Second World War, and then after a few years, Second World War ends, and then the Cold War starts. Before the Cold War started, George Orwell wrote a dystopian future and said, we know what's gonna happen. Cold War started, atomic war that never started. History ends right there for world wars. But in George Orwell's timeline, that didn't happen. Inside his timeline, World War III broke out. And then there's a lot of atomic bombs. And later, hydrogen bombs were started to fall down onto cities. Then later, all those countries that are in red, that are on the map, united to become Oceania. Now, the green part, you might be wondering, why is it called distributed? Because nobody owns it, so shut up. That's how it works. A lot of George Orwell's 1984 is based on this history. Now, back to this Lego. So, who is this man, you might be asking? Well, it turns out in 1984, Britain over here is not called Britain. It's called Airship Run. And it's set in London. London is still called London, by the way. And Oceania is ruled by INGSOC. INGSOC is basically a new term for socialism. Is it socialism, fascism, neo-Bolshevikism, or like those? Well, it turns out INGSOC hates fascists, and in East Asia and Eurasia, they call INGSOC a neo-Bolshevism government, but they like to be called INGSOC by themselves. INGSOC created this thing called Hate Week, where they all want citizens to hate a lot. A lot of citizens here might want to rebel, such as the main character, let's see, Winston Smith wanted to do. But always, because of Hate Week and all the propaganda, their minds are filled with the propaganda. This guy's filled with the propaganda, this guy's filled with the propaganda. Even this guy's filled with propaganda, and yeah, I get what you mean. I think you get what I mean. So yeah. All these people are filled with propaganda that so much that they don't even have time to express their hate for the INGSOC themselves. And their main enemy is this Goldstein person who wrote a book against INGSOC, and it's natural. That's what, and here's the warning for George Orwell's 1984. He wants us to catch ourselves. To catch ourselves before we go into the wrong direction. Totalitarianism. Totalitarianism is a bad thing. The government in totalitarianism tries to control every aspect of the people's life. Like, the sky is red, they say the sky is red, that is a true fact now. The ink saw create the airplane, that is a true fact now. Everybody has to go nude, yes, that is a fact now. Yeah, all those stuff. So, how do we know about ink sock here? That question is for you to answer. This is a strip one, by the way. And just like how shifting in reality, shifting to multiverses can be really, really true. And yes, adios. There's a lot we can even find out in this 1984. Just how shifting into multiverses might be good, and that there are a lot of noobs inside of it. Wait. Who put this on here? Did you enter there? No. Well, anyways, there is a lot of noobs. There's a lot of noobs in this book, by the way. So why do the people say that the sky is red when they once were told that the sky was blue? Are they stupid or are they noobs? Well, in technical terms, yes. That's how it works. A lot of things happen in the world, and this is the end of this episode. I have one question though. Why do you think everybody are noobs? This is where I'll end this episode. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. Please like, share, and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. I'll see you in the next episode. Shunhan out. Peace.